CAR T therapy is this new therapy. There's been 2 therapies that have been FDA approved in the last 6 months. They are these therapies that are supposed to combat the cancer cells in your body. So right now it's been approved for 2 different blood cell cancers. What happens is it takes the patient's blood out of their body, ships it off to a manufacturing facility, engineers the T cells in their blood to express a receptor, the chimeric antigen receptor. That's what the CAR stands for in CAR T. And then once these T cells have been engineered, they go back and are put back into the patient. And then these cells are, moving throughout the patient's body to detect and kill the cancer cells in the body. So it's this relatively new, fascinating therapy that uses the patient's immune system to hopefully kill the cancer in their body. So the interesting part about these therapies is, as it's received quite a lot of press, and it might be expected, that they are very expensive. So there's 2 therapies right now. One is Kymriah, which is in the pediatric acute lymphoblastic leukemia disease state. Its price tag is $475,000. Then there's Yescarta, which is in the adult B-cell lymphoma population, and it's $373,000. So you hear these extremely expensive price tags and you may be taken aback a little bit, but there's been evidence that suggests they prolong life substantially in these populations. Kymriah is approved in the pediatric acute lymphoblastic leukemia space. So these are children with leukemia. The FDA label is for at least 2, and to be in the refractory or relapse state. So these are children that have tried chemotherapy and tried other agents to get rid of their cancer, and it hasn't worked. And so now they've relapsed and have their cancer again and are getting CAR T. So that's Kymriah, the pediatric leukemia space. The second product, Yescarta, is in adult B-cell lymphoma, also in this relapsed or refractory state. So these patients that have tried other available treatments and unsuccessfully, now they have either back in remission or back in a relapse state and have their cancer again. We went into this knowing that these therapies are expensive, and we went into it knowing that there's been evidence for quite a substantial life year gained and quality adjusted life year gained. And so we, put all of these different pieces into our cost effectiveness puzzle and found that the price of these therapies was priced so that they did produce good value. We have cost effectiveness estimates that are below commonly cited thresholds for value. So even though they have these very expensive price tags, when incorporating the life years gained and the health outcomes that you get from them, we have found that they are priced quite favorably for value. Knowing the value of a therapy is important for so many different stakeholders. I think most obvious is for payers. So when we have our insurers, now they have this, this new therapy that has a lot of press around it. It could be a potentially curative therapy for cancers where people who have not responded well to therapy. And so I think there's that promise that, that seems quite wonderful. But then on the other hand, that has this extremely expensive price tag. And so insurers need to figure out if they're going to cover these therapies for the people on their insurance plans. Not a lot of people are doing what we're doing and looking at the cost effectiveness of these to be able to inform the healthcare system of, yes, these are expensive, and yes, there's some evidence that suggests these could be associated with great clinical benefit. So let's combine those evidence and be able to inform healthcare on if it's good value. And so that's really what we are doing.